This is my new chord progression series, building on my chord tutorial series, where we are now looking at chord progression patterns and looking at specific songs and looking at the chords in those songs and the patterns you need to really get on top of those songs. The best way of mastering chords is by throwing yourself into songs and seeing what chords you need and learning the transitions both into and out of that chord and what follows that chord. So that's the best way of learning, and that's what we're going to do. So today we're looking at Always on My Mind, and we're going to follow the pattern of C, G, G7, A minor, back to the C, and then the F. And that's the opening pattern from the song, which basically most of the song follows. Let me just play it to you. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. And that's the pattern. If you can master that pattern, you can master the song, and it's a great way to practice those basic chords. In particular, the G to the G7 in the middle of that is a good transition, and that's a really good one to be able to do, and you can use that in a lot of songs. So we'll have a look quickly at the chords and how to the pattern and how to follow from one chord to the next, and then I'll finish with the song as well, and you can play through the whole song with me if you want to. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like and subscribe if you do, and here we go. Always on My Mind. Okay, so for this song, the chords are relatively repetitive, although there is a bit of variation. There's a D7 there later on, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to look at the opening pattern, which follows this C to the G, to the G7, to the A minor, and the C, and the F. Okay, so let's have a look at that in depth. It's really the G to the G7 that I want to focus on, but we start on the C with our third finger on the 3rd fret there, and then we're going to go to the G. Now the C to the G is quite a nice transition because your 3rd finger is already on the 3rd fret, and you'll need that on the 3rd fret for the G, but we're just going to lift it from the A string to the E above it. So the C to the G. We just lift that 3rd finger up one string. Then our 1st and 2nd finger go down onto the 2nd fret on the C string and the A string at the bottom, and we just need to get used to putting those in the right place. Now they can be hovering. The key to playing quickly on the ukulele is not to just have your fingers tucked away out of the way, but actually to be hovering over the next chord and ready to play that next position. So we're playing our C, but our fingers are already hovering over the 2nd fret, because we know we're going to go to that G. So C to the G. And straight away, as soon as that C's been struck, we put our fingers down for the G and lift our finger up from that bottom string onto the E string, from that A to the E string there on the 3rd fret. So nice straightforward transition from the C to the G. Now the key to the piece is the G to the G7, and the joy of this move and transition is that we keep our 2nd finger in exactly the same place for both of those chords. So our 2nd finger is on the C string on the 2nd fret, and it's going to stay there both for the G chord and the G7 chord. And we're going to basically pivot our 1st and 3rd finger from the G position to the G7 position, keeping that 2nd finger in the same place on the C string there. So once you've realised that, it actually becomes quite a nice, easy transition to make. I remember the first time I was trying to do the G to G7, and I was thinking, oh, I've got to move my whole hand, and I realised I just pivoted on that 2nd finger, and suddenly it became really easy to do. So on the G, our 1st finger is on the bottom A string, with our 2nd finger above it on the C string, 3rd finger at the side on the 3rd fret on the E string. And as we pivot to the G7, we move our 1st finger onto the 1st fret, and our 3rd finger comes onto the 2nd fret as well. Have a really good look at the diagram, and you can see how that transition works. But remember, you keep your 2nd finger where it is on the C string. So G to G7. And once we've done that, the rest of the pattern's really easy. We then go to the A minor, which is where we just lift our 2nd finger up from the C string to the G string on the 2nd fret and just release the other 2 fingers. So the G7 to the A minor. Just 1st and 3rd finger come off, and 2nd finger just moves up one string. And then we go back to the C, which is our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret again. And And whilst we're on the A minor, our third finger is free and can then hover in the right position over the third fret and go straight down to that C. And then the easy transition from a C to an F, because your first and second finger are then free and you can hover over the first and second frets, ready on the E and the G string to come down with the F chord. So C to the F. So let's do that whole pattern slowly and go from chord to chord. I'll do 4 strums on each chord, although that's not actually the pattern that we're going to follow in a minute, but that's the pattern we'll start with. So C to begin with, third finger on the third fret, go to the G, just lift that third finger up, put your first and second down. Now pivot to the G7. Now second finger up to the A minor, third finger, get ready, back to the C, and the first and second finger, get ready, onto the F. And there we go, let's do that again. C, get ready on your G, G, now pivot to the G7, second finger up to the A minor, third finger on the C, first and second on the F. Okay, and there's the pattern. It's nothing too tricky there, but it's really good just to get your head around that G to G7. I feel that's the key there to that pattern and to this song. Do spend some time practicing that if you need to, and then do have a go at the song. I'm just singing the first couple of lines of the song so you can see how it all goes together. Something like this. Maybe I didn't treat you on the G there, G7 on the end, to the A minor. Quite as good, back to the C as I should have on the F. And then again, C. Maybe I didn't love you, G to G7. Then the A minor again. Quite as often, C as I could have. The D7 there, we're not worried about that one, but don't worry, that's not a difficult one. So do have a look at the whole song if you want to. I'm going to go straight into the song video now in a second. I hope you've enjoyed that video. If you did, please do like and subscribe. And here we go. Here is Always on My Mind. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Maybe I didn't hold you all those lonely, lonely times. And I guess I never told you I'm so happy that you're mine. If I make you feel second best, girl, I'm so sorry I was blind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Tell me that your sweet love hasn't done. Give me one more chance to keep you satisfied. just never took the time. You were always on my mind. 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 Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Maybe I didn't hold you all those lonely, lonely times. And I guess I never told you